In this video, we're going to talk about Coulomb's law, which is kind of the math behind interaction of charges. So jumping into that, Coulomb's law describes the force experienced or felt between charged objects. So if two objects have a certain amount of charge, Coulomb's law will tell you how strong the force is. And the force is equal to K times Q1 times Q2 divided by r squared. So Q1 and Q2 are the charge of the two objects. So just like if you remember when we did gravity, m1, m2 over r squared, same thing here, but instead of mass, we're talking about charge. So if I've got an electron, this Q will be negative 1.6 times 10 to the negative 19th, the fundamental unit of charge. And if it's a, say, proton, then we'll also have 1.6 times 10 to the negative 19th, but positive coulombs. And then R is the distance between objects. This Q will be the Q's will be measured in C, and the distance will be measured in meters. And K is just a constant. That is this value here. You wouldn't need to memorize it, but you'll notice if I have a distance down here squared times K, the meters will cancel, and the Q's will both have a unit of coulombs, and the coulombs squared will cancel, and I'm left with just these newtons, which will be what we'd expect for a force. So now we want to talk briefly about the direction. The direction is always pointed along the line between the two objects. But the direction will be based on either if they're matching or opposite. So if I have two negative charges, we know that negative charges repel, so the force will be like so. If I have two positive charges, we'll have the same sort of results. They'll be repelling, so the forces will be felt like this. But if I have a positive and a negative, then the force will be attractive and go inwards. But in all cases, you see, if we draw a line between the two charges, the force is parallel to that. And this holds true even if it's at some, weird angle like this. So two negative charges, the forces will be like so. And you'll notice this is just sort of a math thing that you won't really need to worry too much about for this class, but if the charges are opposite, so one's positive and one's negative, then F is going to be a negative value. And if they're the same, F is going to be a positive value. And this is technically what tells us these directions, but we're not going to worry about that for this class. That has to do with vector math that we're just going to skim past. It's really useful once you get comfortable with it, but for just getting an introduction and first exposure to it, we're just going to set the direction knowing that attracting or repelling. But this sort of thing is just an aside that's kind of an interesting math thing to take mind of for later. So that'll wrap us up here. Let me know if you have any questions, and yeah, I'm happy to help.